All Blacks 15, folks, taking on Japanese 15. Ends up being a pretty lopsided one from Tokyo. It was 38 points to 6. We'll go over some of the key events, a few stats. You guys can let us know your thoughts on the game. If you've seen it, looked pretty windy and by all accounts, very, very hot. Brad Weber's first words as soon as he was starting his kind of on-field post-match interview were, boy, that was hot, basically. 30 plus degrees, which is very different from the current weather in New Zealand, let's just put it that way. But great crowd, which was pleasing to see for kind of a non-test match. And sadly for them, they don't get to cheer their team on, score any tries. But they did get to see a competitive first half. It was close at half time, and then they got to see some nice tries from the All Blacks 15 in the second, if nothing else. Interestingly, on like the first 3 minutes, you saw Japan like going for the jugular kind of thing, not just going to practice goal kicking. Although both sides did opt for penalties in this one, which was, I guess, there's that balance of do you like play it like a proper test match to try and get that real test match experience for the World Cup, or do you just try some stuff which you need to practice before the World Cup? Because remember, both these sides are probably coming together for their first kind of proper competitive game. There's some rust and some kind of lack of combinations between some of the guys. But anyway, Japan go for the maul. Karifi ended up snaffling a turnover after the Japanese maul had been stopped. They went through a few phases, but it was good to see Japan putting the All Blacks guys under pressure. Leach ended up winning a penalty in response to Karifi's turnover, and that time Japan did opt for the three, so they didn't go in front. They were 3 points to nil ahead, and you could see the wind a couple of minutes later when Matsushima, who was doing most of the clearing kicks, put in a big kick, and boy did it just travel with the wind behind it. It just took off like a rocket and went really, really well dead. So it was a chance for the All Blacks guys. I'm just probably going to call them the All Blacks, even if it's the All Blacks 15. A chance to hit back. But man, from the scrum, Goodhue was smashed, absolutely smashed on defence. And then the number 7, Fukui, was able to win a breakdown penalty. So both sides able to kind of hold each other out early. Although, as I said, the Japanese did knock over a three-pointer. On 12 minutes, New Zealand guys had a line out in Japan's 22. They got advantage, and interestingly, they kind of likewise, like when Japan went for that first maul, opted for a kind of a midfield scrum, which seemed like a pretty good move, and it paid off for them, man, because Leo Willie off the back of the scrum, I'm not sure if he tripped over or he just was tapped, but either way, he ended up falling over, but the quick ball recycle, Weber to Perofeta, and Perofeta puts the hammer down, and scores the first try of the game on like 15 minutes. So not a bad way to open the game for the All Blacks guys after going down early, although they missed the conversion. The goal kicking left a wee bit to be desired. And then Perofeta had another line break from his own 22 a wee bit later. Like, you can't just assume these guys are going to kick to exit. So they did look kind of dangerous. Leach conceded a penalty for not releasing a few minutes later, and the New Zealand guys did opt for another 3. So 8 points to 3 after around about 20 minutes. So it's still a pretty tight game. Japan got some quick ball in 21 minutes. New Zealand went offside, and it was another penalty for Japan. So 8 points to 6. That's game on. Like, there's not a lot between the sides. There's going to be no more tries in the first half. And then you got to see a little bit of Masarewa, who is a proper danger man. He had a kind of turn running it out of his own 22. As well, so he's, if he gets a start at the World Cup, he's going to be, just a guy to keep an eye on, because he's just got electric footwork. 29 minutes, New Zealand missed a penalty. It was kind of a medium difficulty one. Japan pinged a few times at the breakdown, and I feel like that's going to be one that they will probably work on after this game. Like, Adamson is notoriously or famously pretty strict at the breakdown, so they got pinged quite a few times for either not rolling away, not releasing, that kind of thing. So that's the kind of thing that they will need to adapt to a bit better, because I feel like they took a wee while to, stop getting penalties conceded against you for this kind of thing. Like, it's not going to do you any favours in terms of building any phases, but they stopped for a water break because it was hot. The Japanese tight head went down for a wee injury break, but he was all right. But yeah, it was good to maybe slow the game down a bit, because you could feel that heat was starting to take its toll. Both sides were starting to look a bit knackered. You started seeing a heap of knock-ons. Like the lineouts were solid. The scrums were pretty stable for the most part, but yeah, geez, there were a lot of handling errors. And as I said, new combinations for both sides kind of makes sense. Some guys playing their first games together or first games together in quite some time. So yeah, 39 minutes, Japan had a great counter ruck, and it was like a perfect chance to maybe hit the All Blacks guys on turnover ball. But then, like as soon as they've won that counter ruck, Matsuda, the 10, just knocks it on, man. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. Like the execution just kind of wasn't there, and then the AB's guys got a scrum penalty right before halftime to make it 11-6 at halftime. Winning off the post, like Stephen Perofeta, as much as he had a good line break and scored a good try, you wouldn't want him goal kicking to win your World Cup game in all likelihood. It was shaky anyway, but it goes over, so they all count the same. Halftime stats, neither side will be that happy with their defence. They're both tackling in the 70s, albeit high 70s, but the AB's 15, 275 run meters to 130. Kind of dominant, but like 12 handling errors across the first half, 7 to the All Blacks 15 and 5 to Japan's 15. All Blacks have had more possession with 61%. Second half, it kind of starts the same as the first. Perofeta gets charged down. Japanese guys get turned over. Then Weber gets a line break, but he gets caught. So neither side's able to really just like go through 5 phases. It was finding a bit difficult. Perofeta had another shot on 44 minutes. That one goes over, so it's 14-6. And then, I mean, Japan does get a maul on 47 minutes, like 7 meters out. Horia, he's come on, and they get advantage from that maul. They have to blow it up, so they go for another one, but then they lose that line out. But it's a 5-meter scrum to Japan anyway, because the All Blacks guys have knocked it on. So from that scrum, what can the Japanese guys do? They're under heaps of pressure, and they end up knocking it on. So I feel like that was the moment, because from here, from Japan's point of view, it starts to go wrong. The All Blacks' hands finally start to stick. You get Weber to Goodhue. Then they break out of their own half. They get it to Perofeta to Sullivan, and he passes it back to Goodhue. It's his first try of the second half, 21-6. All Black subs have come on. Japan subs have come on. Maybe that's starting to help the All Blacks guys a wee bit. They get a maul chance. Can they put Japan to the sword? Initially, no, because they get turned over. But then a couple of minutes later, yes. Nanae Soturo, it's not pretty. It's genuinely not pretty. Like it's a magic try, but it's not what they meant to do. It's basically messy ball that Harmon, who's come on, ends up kind of hacking through, and then he himself gathers it, and then they get it to Love, who spins it wide to Nanae Soturo, who goes over for a try, 26-6. But yeah, it wasn't planned. That's not what they meant to do. I mean, again, it all counts. Doesn't matter how you get it done. And then it starts to become a rout when Fakatava, he's come on as well, changes the direction of the play for the All Blacks guys. Love with a great offload. Sullivan, not selfish, passes it back inside to Nankivell. And that's like, it's pretty much all she wrote at 31-6. It's becoming a bit of a hiding. The rest of the game kind of starts to just play out. The All Blacks guys are putting under a bit of pressure, but the defence holds, and they manage to kind of put the icing on the cake with Fakatava with a nice little bit of individual brilliance for the final try of the game. Again, it's like firstly, it's Akoi with a great turnover at the breakdown, but then, it's just kind of a messy line out, and Fakatava just finds himself heads up play. There's a bit of a gap. I'll go for it. Steps and combine his kind of footwork and gas, and it's enough to go for a try and a great conversion. So there you go. I say great conversion, but it's a conversion anyway, because kicking, as I said, not that optimal. Cameron missed some, Perofeta missed some, but Japanese jersey was nice. Red and black, not red and black, black and white stripes. Bit of a zebra look going on. But as I said, no tries. Their line out was pretty solid. I think they missed that one. Scrum was largely alright. They conceded that one penalty. As I said, combinations still getting into the swing of things. I wouldn't read too much into it, but they will obviously need to take a step up in the limited time they've got to prep for the World Cup. Interestingly, they make their line out calls in Japanese, which is pretty cool, even though I think it's an Aussie guy calling them. But, yes, I'm not a native Japanese speaker anyway. Interestingly, like Matsushima, I think, only ran it once from the back, which was interesting. He was largely putting a fair bit of boot to ball. But, we know we'll see. Come couple of my hats just fell down. We'll see some of these kind of, outside backs probably a bit more unleashed. As I said, Masarewa certainly looked pretty dangerous. Brad Weber looked sharp. Arkoi looked busy. A bunch of the All Blacks guys looked all right, but then such was the nature of the game in terms of some of the handling and whatnot. It's hard to be too excited and kind of clamouring for one of these guys to be in the All Blacks. If anything, both the halfbacks for the All Blacks 15 certainly put their hands up anyway. So, yeah, there you go. 38-6. Pretty comfortable in the end. The All Blacks 15 get it done. Remember, these teams are going to play one more time. I think it's going to be All Blacks 15 against Japan's proper side, not like Japan 15. But as I said, most of the guys who played in that Japan team are capped Japanese internationals anyway. So you guys let us know your thoughts. If you saw the game or if you didn't, do you read anything into this? Any of these All Blacks guys putting their hands up for honours for the ABs? What do you think of the Japanese side? And I'll talk to you guys again soon. Ta-ra.